Hello, Dharma Circle. Swati here, the Embodied Dharma Coach. Let's talk about Jyotish. I've been doing a series for you on Jyotish and all the ways that this amazing tool can be used. Last week we talked about prosperity and wealth, and today we're going to talk about embodiment and healing and creating vitality in body and soul and on your dharmic path. Next week, we'll talk about relationships. So this ancient Vedic tool, of course, it's one of the branches of the Vedas that has always been used for awakening consciousness. And this is, of course, your dharmic path, creating clarity on the path, the purpose of the soul in this lifetime. But it's so essential that we're working with the wisdom of the body and not against it. Typically, how Jyotish is used in this day and age is it's a very disconnected tool. It's a tool about memorization and prediction and someone telling you what to believe or what's going to happen or telling you about your chart. And I find this to be extremely disturbing, especially from a traditional perspective. If this is a tool for enlightenment, then we first and foremost need to be using this tool for reconnection. Embodiment is part of this reconnection. Embodiment is the quality of connection with your body and really soul on a deeper level. This quality of connection with your whole being. That's what embodiment is. Dharma is, my definition of Dharma is wholeness. Is really honoring your wholeness. We live in a time, it's called Kali Yuga in the Vedic calendar, which is about disconnection from Dharma. We, as a whole, in this society, are very disconnected from the purpose of the soul. Why did the soul incarnate into this body, into this lifetime? It's not to work a 9 to 5 or, live a meaningless life without purpose. Each one of us has a dharma, a purpose for being here. The soul and the ancestors called you here for a reason. And your journey is to be connected to this purpose, to live, to fulfill this purpose, and to evolve, to awaken on the path. And your Jyotish chart is an essential tool for this. It's so helpful. Of course, it's always been used for this. In modern times, it's very much about disconnection. But the way that I use this ancient tool is what I consider more of its original purpose, to create connection with the body and the soul. That this is a tool for healing and transformation. And we get there through the body. We get there through deepening our connection with body and body wisdom. This is how we create a clear dharmic path, connection to our own needs, our own nourishment, our own gifts and wisdom. What's my yes? What's my no? And really cultivating a path of deep nourishment. That is what your dharmic path requires. Dharma requires that you are not avoiding or disconnecting from the body and the soul. So Jyotish actually becomes a very powerful tool, a very powerful resource for this connection and cultivating nourishment in body and soul. So I want to share some steps today, some ways that you can use your Jyotish chart for more embodiment, deeper connection with your body, listening, inquiring, asking questions and getting clear answers, and how your Jyotish chart can actually support you in this clarity but deeper listening and clearer answers. And so whether you are using Jyotish for your own clarity and purpose, or you are using this tool for clients, either way, you can use this as a method, as a tool, as a resource for strengthening insights from body and body wisdom, clarifying what the body is actually saying to you. And my work is really, it's rooted in Jyotish, but it's very body-centered. I'm using the Jyotish chart in a very body-centered way. It's why I created Embodied Vedic Astrology. And we're also bridging this with somatic, embodiment, expressive art therapy resources, body part mythology, and deepening the metaphoric understanding of each part of the body. And that also includes the chakras. The chakras they correlate to different parts of the body, and understanding what these centers of the body represent, what they can support us in, what it means when these parts of the body, these energetic centers of the body and their body parts are imbalanced or we're disconnected from their wisdom. All of this impacts us. And yes, we can see this in the Jyotish chart. So it becomes a tool for deeper listening. In fact, one of the easiest ways to get started is to understand that each house of the Jyotish chart, and I'm using North Indian style Jyotish chart, and I'll just say that's what I use. I'm sticking to it. It's considered very auspicious to look at a North Indian style chart. It's like a yantra, and it becomes very healing both for the practitioner and for those who are looking at their own chart. So there's a reason why I use a North Indian style chart. Each house of this fixed house chart, meaning that the houses don't move, they stay the same. And it's the signs that move, okay? So in a North Indian style chart, it's a fixed house system. And each house correlates to a body part. Starting with the first house, which is head and face. Second house is throat, neck, mouth, and voice. So all of the body part that correlates to the house and the function of that body part. There's also a lot of great research on the portions of the brain and the houses that they correlate to, and also the function of that part of the brain and how it supports that area of the body and those body parts. So the depth that comes with Jyotish, it's unparalleled. It's so vast and beyond even what we can discern in this lifetime. It's so vast, and it's a web of energies, and that's what we're studying when we study our Jyotish chart, is really the web of energies and how they interact, how they co-create together. So you want to understand that each house correlates to a body part, from the first house, head and face, all the way down to the 12th house, which is your feet. And so when we look at a Jyotish chart, we're actually going around the body from head to feet. And the 1st to 7th house axis is the spinal column. And so head to pelvis. And this becomes really instrumental when we want to know more about a certain area of the body and understand the planetary influences on that area of the body. And it becomes really fascinating. And I'm going to run you through a simple process today in this class to help you just start using your Jyotish chart in a very simple, embodied way and creating more clarity. So stay with me. We're going to go through a simple process that I use in my embodied Jyotish process. So, Jyotish, like I said, is one of the most powerful Vedic tools for embodiment and deeper listening with your body. Those of you that practice meditation and asana, those are great, and that's part of this. But I want to remind you that you can actually take your yoga practice deeper using this tool. And in fact, the ancients knew that. Remember that all the Vedic branches, Jyotish is a branch of the Vedas. It just like Ayurveda, these branches were never meant to be used in separation. Like, I only use Ayurveda or I only use Jyotish. No, all of these branches are meant to be used together. They support the wholeness. Today in our modern time, it's very typical to have someone just practice asana, which is actually a very small portion of these limbs. Meditation is actually a more important limb in many regards. But these limbs, people who practice Jyotish don't even, or I should say people who practice yoga don't even know that Jyotish exists. They might still be using Western astrology or no astrology at all. That would be very unfortunate because Western astrology is not astronomically accurate and it cannot support you in clarifying your dharmic path or deepening an accurate way of embodiment and body clarity and using no Jyotish at all. Again, it's like not using the whole body or all the limbs of the tree. It's incredible to me. We definitely need to return to a sense of wholeness and really understanding the wholeness of the Vedas and not compartmentalizing or cutting off the limbs. So Jyotish combined with your yoga practice, your meditation practice, your Ayurvedic practices, this actually enhances and supports the wholeness. So remember that every part of the body has a function and a metaphor, if you will, that correlates to it. So for example, hands, they correlate to the third house of the Jyotish chart, as well as Gemini. Gemini is the number 3. It's the third sign of the zodiac. And so by default, hands correlate to the third house as well as Gemini. And the function of the hands is to grab, to release, to let go, there's a lot of creativity that comes with the hands. The functionality of the hand is very indicative of the metaphor. So grasping and releasing, same with the arm. And third house is actually everything from shoulder down to the hands. So shoulder, arms, and hands. And the functionality of the shoulder, arm, and hand is to hold, to grasp, to release, to connect, to touch, to sense, to create, to hold, right? So that becomes a very important metaphor for this area of the body. We can look at the third house of your Jyotish chart to understand what's going on with shoulders, arms, and hands. Maybe there are some natal planets sitting in the third house that are causing some challenges. Maybe Saturn is there and there's undigested grief. Maybe Mars is there, there's inflammation. Maybe Rahu is there and there's a shadow or an illusion over the sense of self, the ego identity. Maybe Ketu is there and there's literally disconnection, trauma, in that area of the body, creating extreme sensitivity. We can also look at the nakshatra that that planet is sitting in and understand a deeper level of nature and nature's intelligence, the strengths, the imbalances that come with that. And you could also look to see what's happening via transit. Transits are essential for understanding what's happening in various areas of the body, because often the transits will trigger some natal karma. So perhaps you have natal Mars in the third house, and transiting Ketu is moving through your third house. That's increasing inflammation and causing some old, perhaps unconscious trauma, disconnection, and sensitivity to emerge as those two planets conjunct in the third house. And so that's an important starting point. I would consider that to be your entry point. Like, let's see what's happening in the Jyotish chart. We have this area of the body that's having a challenge. Let's bring that to the Jyotish chart to understand what's happening from a chart perspective, and then go deeper from there. You can do that with any area of the body. Often these challenges have been inherited, passed down through the lineage. Psycho-emotional body issues are legacy issues or lineage issues. When we're looking at the Jyotish chart, remember, we're looking at a map of your body, and 75% of your karma comes from the ancestors. 25% of your karma comes from mother and mother's lineage. We look at the moon to really understand that emotional body quality that is imprinted in you. Sun is 25% of your karma as well. This is father and father's lineage, and understanding what the father and father's lineage has imprinted your body with from a soul level as well as a physical body strength level. 25% of your karma comes from the 9-month gestation period as well as the birth process itself. And so that is a very instrumental 9 months plus birth process and post-birth that influences your body, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. And so that karma is really instrumental in shaping you, starting the journey. And it all starts there. And then 25% of your karma is from your soul and its previous incarnations. And so that creates the wholeness. So 75% of the karma is really from your lineage and what's shaping them, what's happening to your mother during your growth process in utero, and all of that shapes you. When we're looking at the Jyotish chart, we're looking at physical, mental, emotional, spiritual bodies. Physical body is represented by the sun, and the quality of the physical body is very much, it comes from the father and the father's lineage. How much power is able to be expressed physically. And emotional body is seen through the moon and the mother. And we actually are imprinted by our mother and the mother's lineage with our relationship to emotion and feeling and the emotional body. That's how that imprint is passed. Mental body is seen through Mercury, the mind, the intelligence. Although the intellect and the deeper intelligence and intuition is actually moon. And Mercury is the mind, so thoughts. And then the spiritual body is seen through sun as well as Jupiter. And so when we look at these planets, we can deepen our understanding of the qualities and the nature of the body and how we've been imprinted, how nature is expressing herself through the body. Nature's intelligence is what is moving through us. All right, so I'm going to try to get through this. Sometimes talking so much, my voice is like, ah. So, looking at my notes here. So, the functionality of each body part and the nature of the body, how it's expressing itself. And let's go into a quick guided process that you can use for your Jyotish chart and for deeper listening with your body. And a reminder that if you want more growth with embodied Vedic astrology, join me for my first ever Embodied Jyotish Certification course. We start in October. And I'm really excited about this. So you will be learning all of these deeper layers of using the chart for embodiment and healing and transformation and inner growth. This is the foundation. This is what's absolutely essential for clarifying your dharmic path and purpose, being connected to your body and listening to your body on a deeper level. Listening to what the body needs. That's where it all begins. So I like to close my eyes for this, and I start by just scanning the body and noticing. And maybe you already know that there is a part of the body that's been talking to you lately. Maybe there's some challenge, and we're going to enter the body through challenge today, but there are many ways you can enter the body. Resource is also another way. But let's take a challenge today and use this to enter the body. If there's a part of the body that feels more challenging to you, or you've been having challenges in this area of the body, I'm going to invite you to enter the body through this challenge. So closing your eyes if that feels helpful, and just noticing where in the body there's maybe a challenge or sensation. Maybe this part of the body has even had some pain. And leaning in to the sensation of this area of the body. Noticing colors, images, shapes, sounds or smells, and getting curious. And if this part of the body could speak to you right now, what would it say? And if this part of the body could share a need with you, what does this part of the body say that it needs? And I invite you to place your hands on this area of the body and just notice the sensation of touch as you open your eyes. So you could linger here, you could stay as long as you want or need. But I invite you to just pause for a moment and write down what you just harvested from this body part inquiry. This is important information that your body has shared with you about what's happening in this area of the body and what it needs. And if you feel compelled, go ahead and share this in the chat below, and I'll follow up with you here. So then what you'll do is you'll go into your Jyotish chart and you'll look at that area of the body. So maybe your feet talk to you today. Go look at the 12th house. You can also look at Pisces. And that's where we begin. That's the entry point, the place that we start this process of Jyotish back to body, body back to Jyotish, and we keep going back and forth. We deepen the inquiry process. We get curious. We look for connections. We ask for insights. And we can use the listening skill within the body to corroborate and also deepen our understanding of the Jyotish chart. And we can use the Jyotish chart and what's happening in the chart to deepen our understanding of what our body is telling us. Very simple. This is the starting point. I encourage you to practice this and start using this to support you in deeper listening, understanding what your body is telling you, and also using the Jyotish chart in a more embodied way. So I hope this was helpful. And share with me below what you learned from this process today. Okay. So, Jyotish as an embodiment resource, deepening your listening skills, your ability to deepen the layers of understanding with your body. And, even like this cough that I've coughed twice now in this class today, that's a signal to me that something is happening in my body, and I'm listening and I'm curious. And I know that this is about the second house of my Jyotish chart. So I'm going to use this information to go deeper and to keep listening and to also ask, what's going on here? And to let that inform my process. And then we can take that, that listening, we can take it into a variety of, particularly what I use is expressive art therapy tools, and actually even go deeper into the inquiry and support the movement of energy. And you have your tools and you can bring your tools in as well. But this is the starting point in order to go deeper. So I hope this was helpful for you today. I'm absolutely fascinated by this process. I started this journey over 15 years ago when I began my body-centered expressive art therapy work, and I started bridging it with my lifelong Jyotish studies, and I was seeing incredible connections, started using it with my clients, and it just kept deepening our processes together and the healing work that we were doing together. And so I created this process really through navigating my own inner work and my therapeutic work, as well as my work with clients. And it's been a phenomenal journey. It never ceases to amaze me. I start all my sessions with a 4-level check-in and a client, and asking the client, what is the body part that's speaking to you today? And we look at the Jyotish chart, and sure enough, there's always a connection. It's always poignant. It's always, incredible information. And our sessions start from there. If this is a process, a methodology, a curiosity, if there's a desire to grow in this embodied form of Jyotish, using it as a healing and transformation tool, then please comment Embodied Jyotish below, and I will share more details about my Embodied Jyotish Certification course that's starting in October. I am absolutely thrilled to be sharing this for the first time. You've been able to do, courses with me before, short courses, short Jyotish courses, but I've never offered a year-long Jyotish certification course where you will be certified in my embodied Vedic astrology resources and tools. Everything that we do is oriented towards body from a body-centered therapeutic perspective, and using somatic, embodiment, expressive art therapy tools, body metaphor, and really going deeper into using Jyotish as a healing and transformational tool. So if you are ready for this deeper self-exploration and you want to be using this tool with your clients in a more embodied way that supports healing and transformation, then comment Embodied Jyotish below. I will put you on the wait list. More details will be coming in August and September, and we'll get you registered and we'll go from there. So comment Embodied Jyotish below, and I'll put you on the wait list, and I'll hope that you join us and keep deepening your self-discovery, your own embodied wisdom through this incredible ancient tool. And I'll see you next week when we dive into relationships. Bye, everyone.